Joined by Chris Balas on the field at the Rose Bowl. Balas, Michigan was done.
Yeah.
They were fourth down right there, right where the stage is that they celebrated winning the Rose Bowl. They had a fourth down, and if they didn't make it, they were done.
They were, and they had not moved the ball, and they were stagnant. What, they have 40 yards through about the second quarter and a half or something like that?
Yep.
And really, this is the second time that Nick Saban's made great adjustments against Jim Harbaugh in a bowl game in the second half. And you know what? You thought, okay, do they have one in them here? It was hard to really have faith in that. So, but give credit to J.J. McCarthy, give credit to Blake Corum, who played his best football at the end there.
I do feel like this was a case of the best players emerging at the right time.
Right.
It was a throw to Blake Corum, and Blake did most of the work on that fourth down play to get the corner, and they get called for the block in the back.
Right.
But he'd already gone far enough to get the first down,
even
after the penalty. So it was that, and then Corum in overtime. Like that last touchdown run is one of the more amazing runs I've ever seen in person. I was stationed along the goal line, and just to watch him twist and turn and fight.
Yeah. Wrote that he was not going to be denied, and that's the Blake Corum that we saw most of last year before he got hurt, and we hadn't seen a whole lot through much of this year. But really, to emerge at this point, he's as healthy as he's been in a month, and you could see it on that run.
Well, and the defense needs to get some credit too, because throughout the whole game they were harassing Jalen Milroe. They gave him all kinds of problems. Probably some bad snaps contributed to that, but they were in his face at all times. And there was a play where Brandon Graham just came straight up the middle and swallowed him up at the last play of the game.
Kenneth Grant?
Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham.
Yeah,
both of them.
Mason Graham.
Kenneth said he's happy with the half tackle.
Yeah.
On that. He said Mason got him first.
Yeah.
Kenneth fell on him.
Yeah.
But that was 4th and 3.
Yep.
4th and goal from the 3.
It's a game.
It's essentially a 2-point conversion play, which I remember thinking during the timeout, Alabama has a whole playbook for this because everybody has a playbook of 2-point conversion plays from the right hash.
Yep.
So if you're for the offense in that situation, you have an advantage there.
Yeah.
And that was just a pure, I'm going to beat this guy in front of me by Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham, and it was
unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
And I asked Jesse Minter, Michigan's defensive coordinator, about that in the locker room, and he said we were bringing everybody up. We had our receivers in man coverage. He said Junior Colson, the linebacker, got to the back, and he said we just sent our guys at him. And you know what? It was a battle of wills, and you just kind of had the sense right there on 4th and 3 that they're going to rise to the occasion.
Well, and that's what the situation you would expect to have, because just as Michigan gave it to Blake Corum in overtime, Alabama's going to put it in Jalen Milroe's hands in overtime.
Right.
Like that's the best player on the field for them. That's who they're going to give it to. And it was pretty spectacular, because there were times where it felt like, early it felt like it was slipping away from Alabama.
Yeah.
They come grab the momentum back.
Yeah.
And then it was slipping away from Michigan. They come grab it back. And that's what you want in this kind of high stakes game. But for Michigan, it feels like they sort of exercised some demons of the past 2 years.
They did, and they didn't play a great game, and special teams were terrible, and they left a lot of plays out there, and starting with the
They missed an extra point.
They missed an extra point that would have been the difference in the game had they not gone to overtime, and then they missed a 49-yard field goal, and so this has not been how they've been playing all year, and J.J. McCarthy missed some throws that he would normally make. So, but to play your best ball at the end there on the last drive, and then to bring it to overtime like they did, and 2-play drive, you go to your bell cow, Blake Corum.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, nobody's going to come away from this saying the wrong team won.
Right.
They're going to say these two teams gave each other their best shot.
Yep.
Michigan won. They're off to play for the national title. The Sugar Bowl is being played as we record this, so we don't know who they're going to play yet. But when you think about going through this season, 6 games without Jim Harbaugh, all of the controversy, all of the stories about the sign stealing, all the accusations, NCAA investigations, double Big Ten investigation. Did you think they'd be able to get through that to get to here?
I did not, and I'll be honest. I picked them to beat Penn State and Ohio State, but with Sharon Moore, what a job he did.
Yep.
And then these kids putting that noise behind them. You could see the body language against Penn State, for example, when they went out there, and Jim Harbaugh had just gotten the TRO rejected, and they were like, okay, now what do we do? They came out a little sluggish, but there's so much talent and veteran talent on this team, and that they really got the job done.
Well, and I think that's a big difference. I heard a lot of people talk about 2 years ago. That Georgia team from 2 years ago is a completely different animal than anybody in this playoff this year.
Yep.
Like, if you want last minute takes to the national title game, let's say you're a Michigan fan or a Washington fan who wasn't quite sure until tonight that you were going to get to go to the Game Time app, download it, use the code Staples, you get $20 off your first purchase. Type in CFP National Title Game. It will show you all the tickets that are available for the national title game. You can click on that ticket. It'll show you the vantage point you would have inside the stadium if you choose that particular seat. Couple taps, the ticket is yours. Game Time has the easiest way to get sports tickets, comedy show tickets, theater tickets, concert tickets, you name it. If it's sold out, they've still got it. And you got zone deals and you got section deals. They have a lot of ways to get you these tickets you want. So go to Game Time, download the app, use the code Staples, $20 off your first purchase. They got national title game tickets. So if you want to go to Houston, I'll be there. JD Piquel will be there. You could be there too. Go to Game Time. This playoff, all 4 teams going in could win it.
Right.
And, you saw the difference in talent between Michigan and Alabama was pretty negligible.
It was. They were bigger, but I thought Michigan was stronger and faster at some positions, especially in the trenches. And when they started getting to them early, I thought, okay, we're going to have a ball game here.
Yeah.
So now Alabama did run the ball in the second half like I thought they might and had some success, but then Michigan really adjusted.
Well, this is one of those where both D lines we felt like were pretty good. Yep. Both O lines had been suspect at times.
Right.
I think Michigan's offensive line played a much better game than Alabama's did tonight.
I think they did as well, and it surprises me, I'll be honest, without Zach Zinner and the way they've played all year. But they stepped up, and I thought Alabama's ceiling was higher. It turned out it wasn't.
And obviously, you don't want to lose Zach Zinner, but it does feel like Carson Barnhart better at guard.
He is.
And, Trente Jones comes in at tackle.
Yep.
And the 5 they've got out there now seem capable of blocking anybody you put in front of them. Now, they're going to get whoever they wind up getting, they're going to get some dudes.
They are. But I was stunned at how well they did against their edges. I thought that might be the difference in the game.
Yep.
They've got 2 guys that are going to be playing on Sundays.
Yeah.
And they had a tough time with Chop Robinson, remember?
Oh, yeah,
They
absolutely.
got 2 of these guys out there, but what a job those guys did.
Yeah, Ladarius Henderson and Trente Jones did a great job. And J.J. McCarthy was asked about it after the game, and he said Brad Nessler, the CBS announcer, had called him up and said, hey, watch out for 15 and 41. He's talking about Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell.
Right.
And J.J. McCarthy goes, I didn't feel them all game.
They didn't, and I was stunned. That was, to me, was probably the most stunning part of this football game, but credit to these guys. These guys are veterans, man, and they really needed to get to that next step, right, to legitimize themselves as an elite program, and credit to them for doing that.
And so they get an interesting situation. This has happened a couple of other times, at least one other time. I think the Alabama-Georgia national title game was like this, where semifinal Monday, title game Monday, and it's almost like a real game week now.
It is.
And you get into the normal prep. So Jim Harbaugh was asked the question at the end of the press conference. Rachel Bachman from the Wall Street Journal goes, could this national title game be your last game at Michigan? And Jim Harbaugh said, the only thing in my future is a happy flight home to Ann Arbor, Michigan. And so it's going to be probably business as usual for the next few days.
And I'll say this, it's going to be the usual January that we have to go through with, you know what? And if he were to win a national championship here, even getting this to this point, he wanted to go and chase a Super Bowl, then you know what? More power to him.
Well, who's got a national title and a Super Bowl?
Nobody.
Who's got it better than them right now?
Exactly. So, and give him credit, with everything that he's gone through and kind of keeping his wits about him and everything else. And you know what? I think the narrative has kind of at least died down a little bit about the sign stealing and that.
Yeah, I think that's going to come back as the investigation comes back and more news when something happens. But that's not going to happen till the offseason.
Right. Exactly.
So right now it's about football.
Right.
And this is a team that has a chance to win a national title.
Exactly, and not just because of sign stealing, like a lot of people would like to think.
Alabama was huddling up in the third quarter. I was like, oh. What?
Exactly.
What do they do?
What do they do?
No, this is one of those. I think both teams gave each other their best shot.
They did.
Michigan was just better.
Yeah, and a lot of people thought that this would be exactly this kind of game. I thought I had the score wrong. I had 27-20. I had Alabama winning. But you know what? Credit to Michigan. I said,
you know who did know?
Who did?
Vegas.
Vegas did know.
Because
everybody was saying
not
the same
only
thing.
was Michigan favored. Michigan was favored by 1.5 for most of the week.
Yep.
The Whales came in on Monday, pushed that line to 2.5.
Yep.
They knew.
They did.
We didn't know. They knew.
Exactly. You and I were talking about this before the game when we saw all the SEC teams wreaking havoc on the Big Ten teams. We thought, okay, you know what? Now this is the SEC's best. I think Georgia's probably a better team. Alabama just got them in at the right time.
This is a great example of the way the playoff is now versus what it'll be like next year.
Yes.
Because this game might have happened, but then Michigan may be going, Georgia's still out there.
Exactly. Now we got to go to Georgia. But you know what? Credit to them. And you could see how euphoric they were, but now they understand that they've got one more to win, right? And you hope that they aren't too high, that they don't take the next one, and I don't think they will.
I think having so many players on this team who lost a couple semifinals, I think they understand if they do get 2 up, that they will have a problem in that game.
Right.
It feels like both teams were rusty and kind of nervous
in
this game.
Absolutely.
So maybe having played now for the first time in a month, and then the two teams that are playing for the national title get just a week between.
Right.
Maybe we get a sharp and just everybody clicking the whole time. I don't know. It's going to be hard to beat the intensity of this.
Unreal.
But you never know.
Even with the fans going back and forth like that.
Oh,
Dixieland Delight, you had Mr. Brightside on the other side. What an atmosphere, man. It doesn't get any better than this.
2 songs about stuff we probably shouldn't be looking at.
Exactly.
But you know what? It was beautiful tonight.
It was fun. Absolutely it was.
Thank you so much, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Stapes. Appreciate it, bro.
All right. Beautiful. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples On 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On 3 Sports YouTube channel.